વાતો કરતા લોકો સાંભળું પછી દિલ્હી પછી ઓલી હોટલ દિલ્હી એમાંથી મને સ્ટ્રાઇક કારણ કે કોનો પ્રોગ્રામ હતો કદી કીધું
to the shoulder of the person who is sitting right next to you. Your right hand.
One shoulder will do.
Sir, just because you're sitting alone, I would request, sir, please don't disturb the photographer. Many photos kharab aayegi. Please, I would request you to take this seat and then you can go back. And on a count, just put your hand over the shoulder of the person who's sitting right next to you. There's a person sitting right behind you, sir, as well. So please accommodate, you know what I'm trying to say. Put your hand right next to the person who's sitting right next to you. Look into the eye of the person and say, Jag Prani Jag. Let's do it on a count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Everybody all together. Let's sing 1, 2, 3. I understand because you know the बहुत बढ़िया खाना था and you know we need to wake up before there's going to be another interactive session. And who's coming up? Who's coming up?
Great, Gunjan. Thank you for waking them all up. Well, ladies and gentlemen, founded by Ms. Rakhi Kankaria in 1996-97, Rachnoutsav has a steel policy of redefining events to perfection. As a pioneer from the south of India and now with an exposure pan-India in over 40 cities where work has been executed, Rachnoutsav has made a place for itself in custom-made sports, political and celebration events with a parallel presence in retail, BTL and rural. The most recent contribution to the industry has been a full-fledged, state-of-the-art education facility for the growing identity of the event management and wedding planning industry. This being an all-in-all effort from an industry individual by way of investment, content development and concept. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming on stage Mr. Sanjay Kankaria from Rachnoutsav, who will share his thoughts on the importance of education and knowledge for wedding professionals.
And I think we can do better than that. Come on everybody, let's have a show of hands and a more thunderous round of applause. Over to you, sir.
Should say thank you. Thank you to ICWF. I should tell a big thank you to Pratish for all the effort that he's put together. Called all of us over here for this particular event. I think sole and single-handedly he's put an effort which is commendable for his start. Give a big hand, a round of applause to him. And of course to all of us who have done this to support him. I think we should get a bigger hand for all of us. Can I hear it for all of us? Yeah, that's really nice. Okay, it's difficult to, speak after a speaker like Samit. It's very difficult because of the way his experiences, because of the way he has actually put the industry on the track in a way which we should look forward to. But still, I'll try my best. I have a very difficult subject also, as you know, education. I think we're all guys who work. We have not thought of education as much. So getting into that bracket of thinking about education is one big area, and I think I look at that from that format. Let me see what I have on the very first slide, which I'm operating. It says, when you see better, you do better. It's just one step before the next slide, which talks about something else. But what I'd like you to see, though I should be actually talking about only wedding planning event, I'm going to show you a small event about which talks about the scope of work that an event manager covers, the kind of activity that an event manager would actually put together, because what happens in event management is not hugely different from what happens in weddings. The weddings have the advantage of being very well decorated or very beautifully presented. The events do have that parallel also. So I just take you through this. I'll have to play a video, so I'll play it from here. This is a small plan of the event which I'm going to show you. I thought I'd put in a word so you get an idea. This is a 70-acre area that we were dealing with. It's a very popular event in the political circle known as the All India Congress Plenary. This happens with about 17,500 delegates. And this has happened in Hyderabad in the year 2006-07. We were handling it, obviously, against all competition from the country because we were not known as much before this event. It was one of the first events that we were doing on that scale, though we have done events on a different scale altogether. So there's a small video which I'd like you to see, which I think I'll have to play from here.
not possible to pause it for a minute? By the time we kind of restore the sound?
I just want to waste everybody's time. That's why.
No, it doesn't make sense, you know, because concentration as it is broken.
I'm just connecting it to what I'm going to be talking. Now, what exactly was the reason why I showed you this kind of a video? Because I'm on a platform where I'm going to talk about education, knowledge, and what we need to do. Just to give a little background, I'm a guy who's just managed to get out of college with about 60% of marks in commerce. This is my background. My experiences, I've been more in the stock market, and when my wife started this company, Rakhi, I joined her a year later. But this project I worked independently for almost 4.5 months from Chief Minister's office to be able to deliver on ground something which we could handle the entire Chief Ministers of the Congress plus whomever you talk about. Now what's the best part about this event is this entire event has been handed over to an event manager to actually visualize every bit of every corner of the requirements, whether it was from the layouts on the ground, whether it was the number of spoons, or the number of crockery cutlery, whatever you talk about, whether it was the traffic. I had a 27,000 police personnel team, which I had made a blue book for how to handle this event, because the cops were not aware how to handle such a scale of an activity in a city like Hyderabad or in Andhra Pradesh, because these were not common events that kept happening over there. So there were a lot of areas which are there. Now I'll come back to it a little later as I'm going by what actually helped us in running this activity and what actually happened during this event. Now, as I said, the earlier statement was, when you see better, you do better. But I will put it a little more correctly now. When you know better, you do better. That's the whole idea. The idea behind whatever we are talking today is about education. Education, mine is a very serious presentation, I'm sorry. It's not something which I'm talking otherwise. I'm just putting together a very valid point across, so please bear with me for being a little serious in an event management scenario which is more fun, more frolic, and wedding being in that format. When you do better, what do you actually do? You use the education that has been provided to you. Now what does this mean? Are we not educated, or what does it mean on the other format? No, I'm here because I've been asked to talk about what will education and knowledge do as such to the wedding industry, as such to the industry, which is the next big thing which we will all be seeing. I'm sure you'll unfold it through this process. Here I'm talking about importance. Here I'm talking about importance of education and the knowledge for a wedding professional. Yeah, I'm okay, but it's inconvenience to all. Fine. Are you all able to hear me? At least I can use my voice because I have some stock exchange, so I used to shouting a lot. And I used to do a lot of sawdust on the ground, on the floor for my broker. So I've done that before the NSC started. So I have a habit of talking very, very loudly for at least 4 hours at a stretch, trying to sell and buy things. Am I heard? Yes. So great. Yeah. Till they can put this small technical problem together, we'll just take it forward. Now, what is that we are talking about? We are talking about importance of education, knowledge, on a platform where we are calling a wedding professional. Now, what is it when we talk about education? There's a small definition that I would like to make here, because I think we are talking about a very, very fine blade, which is education and which is knowledge. So
So what is actually education? Education is act or process of acquiring general knowledge and developing the power of reasoning, the power of judgment, and preparing for a established life. This is basically how you can visualize education as. Whatever you go through your entire process, this is what we look into. But what is knowledge? Knowledge is much more different because that's a whole lot of education, a whole lot of experience that you look at, a whole lot of experience by way of seeing, by way of listening, and by way of sharing. Now, these are the two areas we are talking about in the format over here. And why is this so important to our industry is what we are discussing. But is there not a difference? There is a difference. And what is the difference we are talking about?
The mic is on.
Thank you. Good. I'll save my energy a little bit. Okay. What is the difference that we are talking about? As we do not go where the path may lead, this is a very common phrase which we event managers generally follow. And why do we follow that? Because we always go to a path and we leave a trail. Whereas as Samit has told you, he's done events, which is a perfect example of which he spoke about the Lakhandwala or he spoke about the other events. The whole idea is wherever we have gone, we've always have put a path and we've laid the trail to the path. We are people who are trail makers. We are people who make that difference. But are we people who are made for it by birth, by education? No, we're not. What is the reason for that? There are various reasons, I'll come to it, but before we do that, I would just like to give a small idea about what kind of, adjectives I would use for event managers. Generally, we are very, very aspiration-based, approached. We have huge creativity in our mind. Innovation is always moving with us. Perception or challenges, vision, professionalism, teamwork, ethics. These are all very, very important areas that all of us are working on, all of us are all the time working around with, because this is the only reason why a client would work with us. Now, these are all characteristics which make our business as well as the celebrations and the wedding division also. But what does this make of us? It makes us a very, very niche product because we are people who are actually not only presenting it, unlike an advertising agency, but we are also delivering it on ground, what we have showcased, what we have promised, what we are talking in terms of timelines, what we are talking in terms of every experience that the client is expecting to go through, an experiential difference that we create in the entire story, in the entire event management industry. When we're talking about it, is this new? It's not new for event managers, it's not new for wedding planners, it's not new for any of us. It's very, very normal because what we are dealing here is a fact that we are all here talking about it, that wedding planning and event management has got a future, and that future is a fact. Whether you agree or no, whether your teams agree or no, we need to ingrain in ourselves, into our teams, into our aspirants, as well as into our society, about the facts of event management, about the kind of multiple roles that we play, the kind of multiple strengths that we have, the kind of activities that we do. Now, what is it that we are talking about? We are talking about, I think there's some jump in this, sorry. Okay, I'll just come back. There's a very large scale that we need to address. Now, what is this very clear scale we are talking about today and what we need to address? We are talking about the wedding planning professionals. So we call ourselves also the wedding planning professionals as we are. And sorry, if you're all feeling that we're hitting a wall, no? Are you feeling we're hitting a wall? Well, when I was making the presentation, I felt so. So I just put this act together, which I just did for the sake of it, because it is that we are hitting a wall to what we are talking. What are we talking? We are talking about importance of education and knowledge for wedding professionals. This is the subject, and I think we all heard it right. We are talking about the arrival of the wedding planning professionals. Now, what is it that when we're talking about a wedding planning professional, all of us are aware we're supposed to be people who are professional in our entire approach, in our entire delivery, and in our entire systems. But is that true? How would you talk about it? If you look at the red alphabets on screen, how do we talk about a professional without actually having a system in place to make one? Do we have any of the systems working in favor of creating a wedding planner? How many of us are actually having an opportunity to be able to go and learn what is wedding planning or how wedding planning is going to make the difference? How will it help our industry? This is a very important point. How will this education and knowledge help our industry in the long run? I'd like to go back a little in time. Let me talk about uh, a consensus that there is importance to knowledge for wedding and professionals. But what will this do to our individuals and our industry? Now, this is exactly where we are reaching. But anyway, as I told you, I'd like to go back slightly. I'd like to take a detour and go back a little bit back in time, because that